So good morning, all of you. Am I audible?
Good morning, sir. And
Okay.
Yes,
happy New Year.
Okay.
Good morning, sir.
Yes. So, one minute. So in our last class, we have already discussed the things that is the number representation. So there are two things. One is how do we represent an integer? Let me get some. So there are integers and there are a real or float. And then we also have a representation of signed number. Okay. So using these things, IM or any programming language can handle the numerical data. So numerical data includes the integers. It may includes the floating point data, and then we also have some signed number, etc. Okay. So therefore, C programming language, C language, it defines the keyword integer, then we have short, then long, and these three keywords are basically for the integer type data. And then we also have float, double, and these two data types are for the real or floating point data. Floating point number. Okay. Then we have some specifier which is called signed, unsigned. So generally all these numbers, when we define the numbers in this way, like integer, float, etc., they are considered as a signed number. So all these numbers now represents a signed number, signed integer. So by default, every declaration, if I declare integer, then compiler understand that we are declaring an integer which is a signed number. Okay? Then we have some specifier which is called, or modifier we call these things as a unsigned. Okay? So if I declare a variable as unsigned, let me write it in this way. Unsigned int. Then A, that means A is now a variable and A is considered as a positive number, means A is never takes a negative implementations. Okay? So this unsigned is again a keyword, and when we prefix unsigned with any type of data type like integer, short, long, float, etc., then the number becomes a unsigned number or positive number. So what is the difference between the two? If we take simple for the integer case, say for integer, basically this integer is a 32-bit representation, bit representation. Okay. So what is the value? What is the range of integer? It runs up to 2 to the power, say it runs up to 2 to the power 31, sorry, minus 2 to the power 31 to 0 and then 2 to the power 31 minus 1. So that is the range of integer. So if I declare an integer, your computer or the C compiler will handle the data, which is the lowest value is minus 2 to the power 31, and the largest value is 2 to the power 31 minus 1. Okay? Otherwise, if we declare these things as unsigned integer, then again it is a
Sir, I think, sir, but integer is 16-bit representation, na? Because
uh,
4 bytes, so 16 bits.
no integer. Integer is a 16 not. Integer is a 32 bits representation. But there are some compilers, like if you work in Turbo C, you will find integer as a 16-bit representation. Okay.
May I add a little bit, Joydeep, if you allow me?
Yes, yes.
Actually, C recommended that it should be minimum 2 byte or 16 bit. But modern computers, actually, it depends on hardwares also. Okay. Now, modern hardwares, actually, memory technology has got improved a lot and become low cost. So now, almost in all machines, you will find integer is represented using 4 byte or 32 bit. Okay, so in some book you may find in C it is written that 2 byte for integer. Okay, but actually you can use size of operator. Okay, size of int, size of character. Sir will let you know later to understand that what actually in your machine, your compiler hardware together, what actually they are using. Okay, but now almost all machine if you find integer is represented using 32 bit only, that means 4 byte. But C recommended that 2 bytes will work. Okay, so earlier in some machine 2 bytes were there for integer, but nowadays in almost all compilers or machine whatever you say, you will find that integer is represented using 4 byte.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
So, so come to this point. So if we declare int, which is a default declaration, then the range is something like that. Otherwise, if we declare unsigned int, then there is no negative part. So we have the value up to 0 to 2 to the power 32 minus 1. That many value we can include. Understand? Yeah. And this is common for all these other scenarios. So the only difference is unsigned is that there is no negation part. So whatever we have learned, that two's complement or sign magnitude, they are not considered when we declare the data or the data type as a unsigned. Okay. So we'll move on with there is other modifiers or specifiers like constant, CO, and ST. This is also a modifier which says that once we declare the data, it is remain constant. So the compiler further or the program further does not modifies the data. Okay. So there are other keywords we'll learn later on. So this is all about the uh, numerical values. Then other type of value that is important is called the character. Characters. Okay. So characters are basically is another type of data, and it is declared with the keyword char. Okay. And when we declare char as or char as a data type followed by a variable a, then a is considered as a character. So a will not work as an integer type of element. Okay. And by default, the size of character is only 8 bits. Clear? Understand? So whenever I am writing anything, whenever I am typing on my keyboard, what we are feeding to the machine? We are basically feeding a character to the machine. Like if I write a C program, main, yeah, etc., etc., etc. Then every time I press a in, then I am feeding a character to the machine. Yeah, and then again a character is stripped to the machine. Okay, so there is a different representation for the character, and this representation is considered as the ASCII code. Okay, so there is a standardization of the code which is called ASCII representation. So ASCII representation is basically is a 8-bit representation. So the maximum character that can be represented using ASCII is 2 to the power 8. So I can ASCII is an 8-bit representation. Okay, and so the character which can be encoded is starting from 0000 to 1111 and 1111. And there are 2 to the power 8. That means 256 characters I can encode using this ASCII encoding technique. Okay. So this is the full or abbreviated of ASCII. ASCII stands for American Standard Code of Information Exchange. So that was a standard. So every machine in the world, or every hardware, software, whatever we are talking about, they are basically using a ASCII representation of the code. Understand? So what does this representation stands? This representation is basically stands for in this type of language. So if we go for some another vocabularies or another alphabet set, then there is a it may not work in that way. Yeah. So if we have a keyboard, then we find that there are different types of keys which runs from small a to capital A, small a to small z, capital A to capital Z. Then there are some symbols, there are some numbers, and then every key is basically having a particular code, and this code is called the ASCII code. And if we look into this, where we have, let me just, yes, and this is basically a chart which says that the ASCII code of the representation. So if we have a null, so null stands for 00 code, means the uh, if we so this is basically the null. So there is nothing we are putting into the computer. So the 000000 this stands for the null. Okay. Then at the left hand side, these are basically the control symbols here. So we don't have some printable symbols in this case. Before we go to, let me just explain. So in your keyboard, we are having some symbols which are called printable. Like if I type this one, or if I type one, or if I type these symbols, then they are basically called the printable characters. Okay. Then there are some non-printable characters also. Like if we place a backslash, say black slash, or there are uh, uh, sorry, del key. So they are non-printable characters, and there are some control characters. Like if we press a shift, then control, or caps lock, etc., etc. They are basically tab. They are basically tab is not control character. So shift, control, them function keys are there. Say F1, F2. They are basically the function keys, or they are basically control characters. So characters are basically in your keyboard. Characters are divided into three categories. One is the printable, another is the non-printable, and another is the controls. Okay, and then all these things are fitted into a 8-bit character representation, which is called the ASCII. So at the left hand side in this table, we'll find that they are basically up to 0 to 31, means the first 32 representations are not printable. They are the control symbols, and rest of these things are the printable symbols. Okay. So I have space, I have ampersand. So this is exclamatory, then this is code, hash, etc. So every character is having a particular code. So if we take a 0, then its decimal code is 48. Okay? Or if we take a octal code, then it is 060. Okay? Similarly, if we take a capital A, then its decimal value is 64. Okay, then we can take it into binary. We'll get the particular code of these things. Okay, so characters are, and in this way characters are defined in the programming language. So basically, C programming language defines the character A. Then in the inline things, it reserves for 8 bits, and they are interpreted or they are represented using the ASCII. Okay. Okay. Similarly, characters also has a sign and unsigned. We'll try to understand these things later on. But at this present, we just try to get that there is numbers, there is characters. Numbers are having two types of representation, integer and float, and uh, also they are having the signed and the unsigned representations. Okay, so this is uh, uh, all about the data types, which how we represent the data types, means how we represent the data in a variable, and what is the size, how size controls the representation of the data. Okay, so nextly we'll move to the part which is called the operator. Okay. So uh, let me work it here. So if we what we have already get that whenever we have a data type, then we have three things. The first thing is that its size and the representation. Okay. Then we have some set of operator on the data, and then we have the value or a representation and the value are the same. Let it be written here. That. Okay. So actually, we try to understand that what do we mean by the operator. So if we talk about the operators, uh, then operators are classified into different. The first thing is that it may be an unary operator, or binary operator. Okay. So what is the meaning of the unary and the binary operator? Uh, so unary operator means there is an operation which takes only one argument. Means like if I want to make a negation of a variable a. Yeah. So this operation is called a unary operator because the argument is basically single argument. So the value is 5. I want to make a minus 5. The value is minus 5. I want to make it plus 5. Okay. So I am just modifying the sign of the magnitude. Okay. So so there are different types of operations which are unary in sense like the plus operation or positive operation, then the negative operation, and there are other operations we also learn later on. Then we have the binary operation. The binary operations are the operation which will take two arguments, let A and B, and it results something. A result is something C. Okay, understand? So the operation which takes two arguments, they are basically called the binary operation. So before we learn the operation, we try to understand that what are the characteristics of the operation. So it may be a binary operation, it may be a unary operation, and then what types of value it returns. So like if we perform an arithmetic operation, then I can take integers as the operand. So two integers as the operand, and we returning and another integer as the operand. Okay. If we take a logic operation like a, whether a is equals to b, then it is also a binary operation. Okay. So I am taking two operand. It may be an integer, so a may be an integer, b may be an integer. But what it returns, it does not return an integer. It rather returns a logic operation like true or false. True or false. Okay. So whenever we talk about operand, we talk three things. What is the first thing is that what is the characteristics of the operator, like unary, binary. what are the operands it takes, and what is the return type of the operation. Understand? So in this way, if we try to understand the C operations, then C operations are classified into three categories or four categories. We call these things as operation. The first operations are the arithmetic operation. Then we have condition operations. Then we have logic operation, and we have assignment operations. Okay. Now let me show you this chart. Where is that? Okay. Is that visible? Okay. Okay. So now this is at the left hand side of this chart. We'll find that what are the operations. The operations are classified into three categories. The first one is the arithmetic operations, and then the arithmetic operations are having different types of precedence. Let me first try to explain. The first one is the positive and the negative side. Somebody is, you mute, who is this? All of you mute your mic. Oh. So the left hand side of the column, it shows that the operations are arithmetic. So there are the first arithmetic operations are the positive and the negative side. So it is an unary operation. Okay. Then we have increment operation, plus and minus. We'll learn later on. Then we have multiplication, division, modulo operation. So all these operations are the arithmetic operations. Then we have addition, subtraction, etc. Then we have conditional operations. The conditional operations are basically checking the conditions, whether this stands for the double equals to stands for the equal to operation. So whether A is equals to B. Okay. Then less than, greater than, and not equals to, less than, equals to, greater than, equals to. So these are all the conditional operations. Okay. And this conditional operation takes two operand and it returns a true or false. Okay. Then we have the logic operation. The logic operation rather works on differently. So it does not take the operand as normally. So logic operations, what it takes some true false, say true and false. So it will return some false. Okay. So logic operation does not take a b as an integer or something like this. Rather, it takes some condition. So whether a particular condition is true or a particular condition is false. Say like if I write a statement, say a equals to b, say, and a is greater than 10. Okay. So what is the meaning of this statement? The meaning is that this is an conditional operation. So this operation returns are true or false. This is again a conditional operation. So this operation will return are true or false. And then we have a logic operation. So this is called a logic operation. And then it works on the logics. So whether the left hand side returns true and the right hand side returns true, then we get a true case, otherwise we get a false case. Understand? Okay. So logic operations are having, this is called the logic negation. This is called bitwise complement. Then we have bitwise logic operation, and this is the conditional logic operations. Understand? We'll get in details of this part. And then the last one is the assignment operation. The assignment operation is basically what it does. It evaluates the right hand side of our statement and it assigns the value to the left hand side of this statement. Say, take these things and we are putting all the part into a variable, say r. Okay. So what is the meaning of these things? The meaning says that the assignment operation will evaluate the so the meaning of these things is that the left hand side, the right hand side expression will be evaluated first, and then the value will be assigned to the left hand side of this variable. Okay. So equals to stands for the assignment operation. So we do not call these things as equals, rather we call these things as an assign. Okay. Uh, this one rather called as a equals to operation, and this one is called as an assignment operation. Okay. And so there are another types of assignment operation which include the increment and assign, then decrement and assign, etc. Okay. So basically the left hand side of this left side column basically classifies the operations into four categories. Okay. And then the middle part gives a brief descriptions on the operations. Then what is the right part says? The right part says that every operations are having a particular precedence. So what do you mean by the precedence? Say if I write a expression, let me uh, write a expression. Say I am writing an expression like 5 into 7 plus 2. Okay? Or let me write an expression which is in this form, minus 5 into 7 plus 2. Okay? So how do you interpret this statement? Okay? So one can, so the first interpretation one can do that first we do the addition. That means I will get 7 plus 2 means 9. Then we do multiplication, means 9 into 5, 45. And then we make the negation, that is minus 45. Okay. So another way someone can read these things, that first we do the multiplication, then multiplication means 35, then we do the addition, then means 37, then we do the negation, means minus 37. Okay. So this operation or this statement may be read in different, because if we don't impose some rules, if we don't impose the rules, then this statement has an ambiguity in the expression, means in the evaluation. So it may be evaluated in different. Okay. So I have shown two such examples, but there may be such ambiguity in the expression. Okay. So every in the mathematics, if we have this type of statement, then there is a precedence which is associated with the operation. So every operation is having a precedence over the another operations, or it may have the same precedence over the other operations. So in this case, what is the precedence? The precedence is that what is the highest precedence of this operation. So whether it is a negation, whether it is a multiplication, or whether it is a summation, or it may be multiplication, summation, negation. Okay. So if the precedence is arranged, if there is a rule which will govern you to identify that which operation is having the highest precedence, then this operation will be executed first. Then the next precedent operation will be executed and following on. Okay. So generally the highest precedence operation is the negation. Okay. So I will execute the negation, means unity operation first, then the multiplication. So we'll do the multiplication and finally the addition. Okay. So we have to perform the addition. So the correct sequence of evaluating these things is we have to first get the minus 5, means its value. Then we multiply it with 7. So it will get minus 35, and then we add a 2, so it will get 33. Understand? Clear? So the other two operations, all they are not correct. So if we follow the precedence rules, then this will be the sequence of operations. Okay? Understand? In fact, this operation is, if we put some parentheses, then this operation is something like this. Okay? So so there is the inner present parenthesis will be executed first, then the second, and finally the addition. Okay. So C programming language also have defined the precedence. So the highest precedence is number 1 is the highest precedence, and number 11 is the lowest precedence. So if I have an expression which contains different types of operations, it may contain arithmetic, it may contain logic, even it may be amalgamation of arithmetic and the logic. Then how the compiler, or how anybody, a human being or the compiler, will unambiguously parse or unambiguously evaluate the statement or the expression. And that is basically the precedence rules. So it says that the unary operations are having the highest precedence. Then the increment of the decrement operations, and followed by the multiplication, division, and the modulo operation. And the third precedence is basically the addition and the subtraction operation. That we understand. So precedence 2 and 3 is very common to us, and then precedence 1 is also common to us. If we want to do some negation, we have to perform these things at the first. Yeah. And in this sequence, all the precedents are stable. So we have the conditional operations are always having the lower precedence over the arithmetics. Okay. So if we have some conditional operation uh, with the arithmetic, simply taking the example, say whether if I write say a plus b, whether this is greater than 10. Yeah. So it does not mean that we first check the condition, then we add these things with a. Rather, we perform the addition first, and then we check the condition. Yeah. Understand? So this one is arithmetic, and this one is logic or condition. Sorry, this is not logic. This is condition. Okay. Get it? So you understand what do you mean by the precedence? Precedence is basically governs me, or it instructs me that which operation has to be evaluated before the other. Okay. And finally, the assignment operation is having the lowest precedence, because it says that everything at the right hand side has to be evaluated, and then the value will be assigned to the left hand side. So there is no way that you assign the value to the left hand side and then use this. Simply, one example is something like this. If you are writing, say, a equals to a plus 2, okay, then what is the meaning of this? Say a is having the value of 5. Okay, then what is the meaning of this statement? So it is basically a reusing of the variables. I am writing a statement where I am reusing the same variables. Okay, understand? So what will be the meaning of these things? It says that you have to first compute this one. So it will be a 5 plus 2, that means 7, and this value, the value 7, will be reassigned to the variable a. So after these things, a will take the value of 7. Okay, understood? Yeah. So as the assignment operation is having the lowest precedence, therefore we are able to write this type of statements where the left hand side is having a variable and which is again evaluated with the right hand side. Understand? Or the right hand side is having a variable which will be evaluated and assigned to the left hand side. Okay, you get this point?
Yes, sir.
So precedence operation, we understand operation means it has to be performed some computations or some calculations. Then we try to understand that whether the operation is an unary, whether the operation is binary. Then we also try to understand that what types of data or operand it is taking and what types of result it is producing. Okay. So then we are arranging the operations in four categories: arithmetic, condition, logic, and assignment. And every operation is having some precedence. Okay? And the precedence says that which operation to be executed before the others. Okay. Now take another example. Say if we write a let me have uh, the variables a equals to 5, say b equals to 7, and say c equals to 7. Okay. And we have written a expression result is a divided by b into 7. So the meaning is that uh, there are two operations we are using. One is division and another is multiplication. Okay. So all these things are integer. Say int and float. Say r is float. Okay. Okay. So now just look at this expression or look at this statement. The statement says that you have to do a divided by b multiplied by c. Okay. So if we both of these operations like division and the multiplication, they are having the same precedence. Okay. And now there is a ambiguity, or there will be different results if we execute the division first rather the multiplication, or if we execute the multiplication first rather the division. Okay. So if we do the operation in this way, first divide, then multiply. Yeah. Then what will be the result? So the result says that a divided by b, that means 5 by 7, and it will take a 0 because these operations are integer. So they are integer. So it does not capture the floating point value. So it will, in fact, it will take something x 0 point something, say x, y, z. But as a and b are integer, so it does not have the floating point part. It will take the value of 0. And then r will be assigned to 0 into c, which will be a 0. Okay. So if the compiler performs the division first followed by the multiplication, then the result will be a 0. Okay. Otherwise, if the compiler performs the multiplication first, then the division, then we have a different result. Okay. So it will be how much? A divided by b into c. B means 49. So it will be, sorry, no, it will take the same part. Uh, b into c. It will perform b into c. So it will be 49, and then it divides a by 49, and finally it will get a 0 because a is also an integer and 49 is also something like that. Okay. Okay. So what is the another representation? If I write these things a into c divided by b, okay, then what will be the part? The part will be different. So it will first multiply. Let it be doing this way. This one is something like this. This one is something like this. say R, it will first multiply. So it will be multiplied into 5 into 7, 35. Then R will take 35 divided by 7 equals to 5. Understand? Clear? Okay. So it does multiply, then division. Okay. Understood? So the meaning is that if there is an expression where the operands are having the same precedence, yeah, then there will be ambiguity when we execute the operations in different. Okay. Okay. So apart from precedence, there is another characteristics which is called the association. Okay. So we'll talk about the association. Okay. So association says that if I have an expression like A into B divided by C, where the operations are having the same precedence, they are having the precedence of say 1 or 2. Yeah. Then which operation will be executed first? Yeah. So associations are two-way. It may be from left to right, or it may be right to left. Okay. So so basically, arithmetic operation, they are having the association from left to right. Okay. So in this operation, it says that the leftmost operation, the first consider that the operations are having the same precedence. Okay. So they are having the same precedence, and then the association says that they will be executed from left to right. So in this case, the first the multiplication will be executed, and then the division will be executed. Understand? So let me show me another example. Say A plus B into C plus D, say divide by X. Okay. So, or maybe this way. Okay. So what are the operations? So they are having the same precedence. Okay. And these are having another precedence. Okay. So in this case, which operation will be executed first? So this one will be executed first, then this one will be executed. Then we have a addition. Again, addition and the subtraction is having the left to right precedence. So then we will be executing the addition, and then finally we'll be executing the subtraction. Okay. Get it? Do you get this point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So just take me the first example. In this case, a equals to 5, b equals to 7, and c equals to 7. Okay. And we have a result which is a divided by 7, sorry, a divided by uh, b into c. Okay. So doing these things, what will be the result? Because uh, this one will be executed first from left to right, followed by the multiplication. So 5 will be divided by 7, so we'll get a 0 into c, and this will be 0 into 7, the result is 7. Understand? Okay. Do you get this part? Rather,
So it should be zero. It should be zero.
sorry, it should be 0. I mistake. Oh, sorry. And then if I rewrite the statement, say R, say A, which one we take? Say A into C divided by B,
A by B is 0 due to int.
due to int. So they are int. So their results goes to 0. Understand? And otherwise, if we do this, if we rewrite the statement in this way, then it will be 5 into 7, that means 35.
Sir, what if we write B by A into E?
B by A into C.
E.
E,
C, yes.
yes. Okay, let me do this thing. Then it will be a 7 instead of a 0. Okay. And if we write, sorry, if we write, what is the another part? B by A
A
into C. So in this case, the result, this result will be give me a 1. Understand? Because 7 by 5, we have a quotient of 1, and there may be some limit here. So remainder goes to 0 part, the decimal part is discarded, the result is 1 into 7. So this will give me a 7. Understand? So, so making the expression as unambiguous means when I write an expression, so I have thinking, I have thought something. Yeah. So writing these things in mathematics is almost equal. Means writing the two statement in mathematics is almost equal. Yeah. But when I am writing a program, I have to think what is the precedence. At the same time, I have to think what is the association. Okay. And association says me if we have same precedence, then which operation has to be performed before the other. Precedence says me if we have different operations with different level of precedence or different level of executions, then which one will be executed before the others. Okay, understand? So,
Yes, sir.
and this table also contains some list of keywords, and already you have mentioned that there are keywords which is float, integer, float, long, etc., etc. So constant and static, that will be discussed later on. Then we have also keywords which 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 starts the iterative blocks or the conditional blocks or the branching. So therefore, if, else, etc., break, returns, and these are the special keywords which defines a particular function. So main is a function, then include, hash include, you already use these things. Hash define will not discuss yet. Structure, they are not discussed yet. Okay. So what we have to, before we start the programming, what we have already learned. We learned that in the programming environment, or whenever I'm writing a C program, I must learn the vocabularies. The vocabularies are the keywords and their meanings. Yeah. And then I have to know how the data can be represented and what are the operations on the data are allowed. Yeah. And knowing all these things, we also know how I am writing a sentence. Yeah. And that is called the syntax. So in our next class, we'll try to understand that what do we mean by the syntax and what do we mean by the semantic. Okay. So that is for today. Any doubt?
No,
Some
sir.
okay. Okay, so let me conclude the class for today. And last class I have not upload the video yet, so I'll do these things by today. Okay, and there will be an assignment that will also be uploaded.
Sir,
Okay.
I have a question about Moodle.
Uh-huh. What happened?
Sir, after opening the Moodle account, am I supposed to get the courses directly in the course section, or do I need to do anything else?
No, you have to search the course. You have to search the course. You go to the for the part. Let me log in. I will show you. Uh, 50. Let me stop the recording, otherwise it will take long part.
Okay, sure, sir.
Here.
Say, can you leave?
Yes, you mainly.
Sir, attendance?
Attendance, it is directly coming to our mail.